In round 9, London Irish upset Quins at the Stoop. Snow wreaks havoc in Newcastle. And there were some very happy boys in the Gloucester changing room. All this and a little bit more on this week's episode of Gallagher Premiership Rugby's The Lowdown. So 3 weeks later and we're back. You might notice that we're no longer in my house. That's because I'm having a bit of work done. So I've taken the opportunity to come down to my mate's bar quite near where I live, partly because it's convenient, I'm lazy. Also because it gives me a chance to combine my two main passions in life, rugby and mocktails. Thank you very much. That would be nicely too. Thank you very much. That's a pomegranate blush. It's all I drink when I'm working. And so much has happened since we last spoke. Of course, the Autumn Nation series has been and gone, and there were, of course, heaps of Gallagher Premiership players representing their respective nations in the Autumn Nation series. Exeter Chief Stuart Hogg broke the all-time try-scoring record for Scotland. Gloucester's Lewis Rees-Zammit used his lightning pace to devastating effect. And England went 3 from 3, didn't they? Including beating reigning world champions South Africa at Twickenham. Quins' Marcus Smith had a nice autumn. Leicester Tigers' Freddie Stewart in particular dazzled for Eddie Jones's side. In other news, James Haskell has got another book out, book number 712, I think. I've known him a long time and never knew he had so much to say. Anyway, he asked his friend Joe Marler to do a bit of promo work on his behalf to boost the old sales before Christmas. And Joe had an original take on what promotion really ought to look like.
What a lovely treat this looks like it's going to be. I know not all of you can read, but I do hope you enjoy it and share its life-changing insight into the world. No.
Lovely stuff from Joe. It's a great book. It's an epic book. I mean, I haven't read it, but I'm sure it's really good. I will read it. It's a bit odd that I'm doing this show and it's not in the script that I've got a book out, which I have with Mark Durden-Smith. Get that for Christmas if you care about anyone, if there's anyone you care about in this world. Epic tomes, the pair of them. If you were to buy a third book for Christmas, if you were to buy a third book for somebody you cared about, who would you most like to release a book next? Which player, which ex-player? Let us know in the comments and we'll start a crowdfunder or a cloudfunder or a Kickstarter or whatever they call it. You might have noticed I've got some rainbow laces on my wrist. They're on my wrist because you can't see my feet, otherwise they'd be in my shoes, on my feet. And there was a whole swathe of rainbow laces across the Gallagher Premiership this weekend. You will have seen that. Not a fashion coincidence, no. It's all about Gallagher Premiership Rugby being very proud supporters of Stonewall's Rainbow Laces campaign.
We are all different.
We all play our individual roles.
But we are strongest if we come together as a team.
No one should ever be made to feel like they can't be themselves.
Sport should be welcoming for everyone, no matter your gender identity, race, sexual orientation, or how you identify.
That's why Gallagher Premiership Rugby is proud to support Stonewall's Rainbow Laces campaign.
My boots are ready, my laces are in. Show that you're with us and wear them with pride.
Get your pair and get involved. Show your support at #RainbowLaces.
And that's just a snippet of the video. If you want the full version, go to PRTV. Great work for a great cause. Right, let's get down to business and let's go to the Stoop where Harlequins welcomed London Irish. I love this from Danny Kerr. I know he's got the advantage, I know that, but if it was that easy to do this when you're playing with the advantage, everyone would be doing it and they're not. How long has Danny Kerr been doing what he wants in this league? So long. It seems a horrible fumble, of course it is. But for Oscar Beard, it was Christmas come early. Still needed finishing, nice pick-up, but really that is all about the nonchalance and the extreme skill of Danny Kerr. And some people said, hey, you can take this try out if you want. It's boring, it's not that exciting, but I like it because we get to see Agustin Creevy burrowing over. He's just one of my favourites, so I wanted to leave it in. And also, every time Irish got a sniff, they scored. Super, super clinical. But this offload from Jack Walker, have some of that to Luke Northmore. That is absolutely top of the range. What you don't see on this clip is that the phase before, Andre Esterhazen, Andre the Giant, made a massive dent up the middle. As soon as he does that, as soon as he gets over the game line, Quins are cooking. Now Curtis Rona, how about that for a pass? This is a nice finish. I mean, it's not nice, it's brutal. But that pass was computer game good. He was that good. Curtis Rona was, for my money, my 20 quid, the best player on the field. Ollie Hassel-Collins, top player, butchered. Looked like it butchered, well he did butcher a 3-on-2 that became a 3-on-1 almost, and you think, is that going to cost Irish? Ultimately, could have been a horror moment for him, but it wasn't. And that man, Bernard Jansen van Rensburg, man of the match, fantastic in the midfield for London Irish. So some of the social media comments from that game, Delboy59 said, our defence looked very porous today, Quins fan. against a stronger attacking side. I think London Irish are quite a good attacking side. I think it would have been an even tougher day. As was said in commentary, our red zone success was very poor. Yet, wouldn't disagree with that. Del Boy 59. I think realistically, Quins are an excellent team that didn't have an excellent day. They were a bit off. London Irish are on it. I wouldn't worry too much about it, to be honest, Chief. Jamie on Twitter said this: amazing result, lads. Obviously, London Irish fan. So are we now officially the best team in London? Because I feel like we're officially now the best team in London. I don't want to be a party pooper, but no, because of Saracens. But if you want to say yes for the weekend, just say yes for the weekend. But, you know, Saracens. Anyway, up to Coventry, where Wasps welcome a Gloucester team who increasingly look to be enjoying their work. This is lovely from Adam Hastings. Has a little look, has a little go, and then once he collects it, which is nice in itself, very, very cool not to give an early pass, just waits. Really, really cool work on the ball from Gloucester. And you think nothing's really on here, but watch Jeff Tumanga Allen with his head tape, looking a bit tired coming round the corner, just steps up, steps out of line. Yes, it's sharp from Johnny May. He's a nightmare. If you're a type 5 forward and he's picking and going, it's a nightmare. That will go down as a defensive error, unavoidably. Lovely attack here from Gloucester from the first phase. Lots of stuff happening out the back, lots of people to look at. 12 Trees comes on a tight line and he will not score many easier tries than that. Like a game of touch, Wasps all over the place defensively at first phase. In that instance, now you want your fly half to be cool under pressure, you want him to be calm, but you need a little bit more intensity than this. That was a bit too relaxed from Jacob Umaga. Got back slowly, took his time, clearance didn't really happen, and it ends up Gloucester steaming over and extending an already reasonably healthy lead. So not a nice moment for Jacob Umaga, but this, not the ball he wanted, not the ball he wanted at all, but he turned it to his advantage and he found redemption. Really nicely finished, an unusual try, an opportunist try for a talented young bloke, and he dealt with it really, really nicely. Not a huge amount Gloucester could do about that, really. The old bounce pass, indefendable, but nicely finished by Umaga. And just when you think Wasps maybe might do it, might come back and win, in the end the ball goes down, and Gloucester thrilled to boot the thing off and claim a valuable away victory in Coventry. And on Twitter after that game, Tom Wade said, honestly, he's a Gloucester fan, by the way, I've not seen team chemistry and togetherness like this for many a year. Well in, lads, come on the Gloss. I'd agree with that. They look very together, and there was a lot of chemistry going on once the lads got their kit off and got singing in the shed afterwards. And Wasps fan Matt Williams said, started far too slowly in a game we should probably have won. 2 points is great, but we should have been looking for 4, maybe 5. You did start slowly, Matt. A few errors in there that cost you. Gloucester played well. I reckon looking for 5 points against that Gloucester team last weekend, bit punchy. Right, off to Newcastle, who are playing Worcester, and weather. It was just weather, loads and loads of weather. Guess who arrived fully warmed up and ready to go? Adam Rabwan. Still feels a bit weird to me that he only played once in the autumn. Thought he was really good when he played. Super sharp, great line, nice delivery, good set piece drill, and of course he's as fast going sideways, backwards, wherever, up, down as he is going forwards. Hell of a player. Nice finish that. Not as nice as this. This is a much better finish, much better try from probably a superior finisher, superior athlete. Kyle Cooper, human house brick with eyeballs. Steaming in, under the post, beautiful timing, great athleticism, hell of a specimen, love that. But Worcester weren't lying down, lovely work down the left. Worcester absolutely never stopped creating. Sells steaming in, and actually it felt like an unlikely draw, but when you consider the game was postponed because of the weather, long old trip for those Worcester Warrior boys. Up against it in lots of different ways. Horrible weather they're not quite as used to as the Newcastle boys, who might suggest. That draw might well feel like a victory for Worcester. Well done, you Warriors. Social media went mad after that game, primarily in Worcester, I grant you. Stuart Perry said, well done, Warriors. This result shows team fighting spirit, unified in adversity. That sounds like something you print off and stick on the gym wall at home, mate, to motivate yourself in a gym you don't use. But Stuart, I'm with you. It does show unification and unity in adversity. Sione Vailanu, of course, the Worcester Warriors number 8, said, love this team with a triple fist pump. 3 fist pumps for good measure. We're going to have a little break now from the rugby because we've asked Jack Noel to play a game, and that game is to name all of his teammates in 30 seconds. It sounds easy.
Ready? Come in. 3, 2, 1. Woody, Egg, Mooney, Harry Williams, Alec Hepburn, Henry Slade, myself, Dave Ewers, Don Armand, Sam Simmons, Johnny Hill, Stuart Hogg, Joe Simmons, Marcus Street, Tom Kearns, Christ, Tom O'Flaherty, Ollie Devoto, Sam HC, Stu Townsend, Jack Innard, Ben Grubb, Dickie, I don't know where he sits in the change room. Yeah, it does. I'm part of the team.
Are you a teammate?
How many did I get?
I'm maybe 22, 23.
I'll take that.
Not bad.
Well done, Knowlesy. And Knowlesy played on Friday night against Bath at the Rec, which was just down there. It's about 3 minutes down there. Let's have a look at how it went. Really good start from Bath in this game. Quite early on, it felt different. It felt different from the first couple of months of the Gallagher Premiership season. There was a lot of aggression. There was a lot of power. Miles Reid was, for me, until he went off injured, the best player on the field, forward or back. He was just outstanding. And Bath in defence, Exeter Chiefs, as we know, very, very good at keeping the ball, very, very fit. They know exactly what they're doing. They've got wingers popping up everywhere. Dave Ewers is basically 12 men in one pair of boots. But Bath in defence were relentless, absolutely relentless, well organised, but mainly physical, turning ball over, massive turnovers for Bath. There were a couple of them, followed up by Ben Spencer, really good clearance kick, and they just looked a different team with him at 9. Absolutely class act at 9. They look entirely different with him playing. But Exeter Chiefs sort of don't stop, do they? You know, until the final whistle goes, they're going to keep coming. Sam Simmons, loads of power out the back. You think, well, they're not stopping him from there. They did. They held him up. They somehow managed. But the game wasn't done. Now this, wonderful from Sam Simmons, wonderful. This is the easiest try he will ever score off the back of a scrum. It's virtually unopposed. If it was a game of touch, it'd have had to go back, maybe, not even that. In a game of touch, that still counts. Fantastic bit of acceleration from him, especially considering how late in the game it was. What a climax to a really, really compelling game. Ecstasy for Chiefs, horrendous for Bath, of course. Just on that last scrum, yes, Tom Ellis could have done better. He could have got off the left-hand side of that scrum quicker, but he has to commit to that scrum, because if he doesn't, they'll get pushed over and the game is definitely lost, because the scrum before that, Exeter Chiefs bulldozed the Bath pack. So he has to defend the first threat first. To that end, Cipriani, for my money, has to be closer to that scrum. He has to at least get a shoulder on Simmons. It wasn't even a game of touch. I think, yes, there are other threats coming around. Yes, the ball might go wide, but defend the first threat first. Simmons was always going to be a threat off the back, and to not get a shoulder on him, for me, is a major defensive error, which undermined all that brutal physicality Bath brought to the first 75 minutes. A real shame. I just put myself in Stuart Hooper's shoes and think, how's no one got a shoulder on him there? Anyway, on social media, great camera angle, someone said. You've seen the angle, really good. Filmed by a fan, that was. Sam Simmons took 6 steps before the Bath back row moved. Mind you, he does take his steps very, very quickly in their defence. Another Bath fan says, looked like a team for large amounts of the game, but individual errors and infringements cost us again. Yep, can't really argue with that. Right, up to Sarries. They were playing Sale. Alex Sanderson, of course, Saracens legend, 17 years at the club, first time back as Sale DOR. Nice start from Sarries. Asikwe took it at the back, shift drive back down to Maritoji. Nice and clever, training ground stuff. Nicely executed, and Vincent Cock finishes it beautifully, kind of beautifully. Never see Vincent Cock have a rest. He hasn't had a rest for 15 years, I don't think, since he turned pro. One of the best players in the world. Now, Nick Tompkins gives Byron McGuigan a bit of a dig on the floor just to be annoying. Byron McGuigan absolutely loses it with the double judo throw, like Street Fighter 2 Turbo budget version. Easy red, absolutely lost his head and cost his team. They were up against it anyway, playing Sarries away. They don't win there very often, and with 14 men, nightmare. Mako Vunapolo was pretty much immense. Obviously a bit of a point to prove, considering Bevan Rod plays for Sale Sharks. Vunipola was brilliant, Mako was, Billy was even better. Look at that, the dummy, the double pump, absolutely beautiful. He thought about giving it short to Asikwe after he'd dummied and gone through. 130 plus kilos on the hoof. Here's the dummy, thinks about the little pop to Asikwe, sees Maitland out wide, just floats over a left-handed spin pass. Absolute beauty, what a piece of play, moment of the game for me. Left this one in because Sale didn't go down without a fight. I like this little finish from Ben Curry, thought it was clever. Just snuck it over. Probably quite annoying to defend against, but he had a really good game, as did his brother Tom when he came off the bench. And this was just lovely. I don't think it was planned at all. I think Alex Good just has a lot of time on the ball. Lovely bit of interplay with Max Malins, who is just an absolute range-topping player, but it was a really lovely little bit of play, lovely interaction, and Sarries comfortable winners in the end. However, Rafi Quirk wasn't going down without a fight either. This is a nice break from Rob Dupree, but Rafi Quirk, he's only been around for 5 minutes, and we're already calling it the Rafi Quirk line, doing Rafi Quirk things. Quite interesting to watch him on the replay. It's not like he's a mile in front of the ball, but keep your eyes on him on the left. He just operates just in front of that ball, just behind that defensive line. Sneaks in. Nice and clever. Lad's a star. Naga Manchetti was at the game. My favourite newsreader, my number one. Well done, Saracens, and good second half fight from Sale Sharks Rugby, quite right. And Paul, a Saracens fan, said this: good result, but the performance leaves some room for improvement. Okay, Billy, Mako, Max Malins, excellent, but others can improve a lot. I mean, yeah, but you've won reasonably comfortably against a really, really good team. Paul, I respect your opinion, but what I'd say to you, mate, is chill out a little bit, okay? Right, off to Ashton Gate, where Bristol played Northampton Saints. Some lovely attack from Northampton Saints, we're getting used to that. This was nicely worked out the back, and then a short line for Freeman. I know he looks rapid and elusive, he is, but that's a clever line, it's a nice pass, it's really nicely worked, lovely bit of attack. And actually, Bristol didn't look altogether in defence. A few guys more advanced than others. A few dog legs, few holes, but in attack we know they can bring it. Leua, some lovely work down the right. Initially starts off nice and deep. Vui can just play anywhere, stick him in the 13 channel. And actually, if you think about it, it's a 2-on-3 that. They shouldn't really be scoring that. Really, really nicely worked. Bristol were never going to go away, always going to bring some nice attack, but Northampton were somewhat relentless. The Bristol scrum really struggled, especially after Max Laheath went off. They did have Jan Thomas, a loose head playing tight head, in their defence. That ain't easy, I can tell you that. Alex Mitchell down the right. Easy enough finish for a player of Freeman's class. I know he's young, but he's high class already. But Alex Mitchell was just otherworldly. I mean, there's a lot of chat about Rafi Quirk. Of course there is, top player. This guy, for me, might well be the best in the Prem. Yeah, big win that for Northampton, played really, really well. On Twitter, a Bristol Bears fan, Alzy Pod, said the forwards need to have a long, hard look at themselves. Fitz was outstanding, I would agree with that, he really was outstanding, Fitz Harding. The rest were borderline pathetic. No team would accept that set-piece performance. Pat better call it as it was, inept, brutal. Brutal tweeting, of course, it's easy on Twitter to be brutal, with the greatest respect. I don't necessarily agree with that. You've lost Sinclair, you've lost Arfoa, you've lost Laheath, you've got Jan Thomas, who is a very good loose head and has done very good things for that club, playing out of position at tight head. Take it from me, that is not a nice place to be, especially against Alex Waller, who's been around and done it against the very best for years and years. So you're always up against it. Chris Hobson said it, a Saints fan, he said, I've not seen a Saints rugby scrum that dominant since the Tonga Hartley Mujati days. Absolutely awesome, more of the same for the rest of the season, please. Again, just to temper that, Chris, a little bit, they did have a loose head playing at tight head. So you imagine losing all of your tight heads and sticking Alex Waller, a great loose head, stick him at tight head and see how he goes against the top loose head. It's difficult, it's very, very difficult. Anyway, a little bit of balance. Now, I know it's been a while, we've been away for a bit, but I'm gonna go back to some of the YouTube comments you guys sent in about potential player side hustles. Steve Fern said, rugby players with other talents. Got to be Luke Cowendicky's world champion winning Call of Duty performance. Did he actually win World Championship? Didn't know that. I know Call of Duty is a computer game. I know that Luke Cowandicky once played it, I think, for 24 hours straight. I'm guessing for charity rather than his own gratification. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's any one thing I could do for 24 hours, so fair dues. And Lewis Johnson said, I heard ex-Wales and Lions legend Tom Shanklin is great at impersonating Gareth Thomas. That he is. He gets mistaken for him a lot, and people are invariably disappointed when they find out it's only Shanks. That's a pretty strong comeback after 3 weeks off, I think. That's all we've got time for this week. Do get yourselves onto PRTV. All the match highlights are on there. All the full games are on there. For now, I'm going to get next door and get stuck in, you know. when in Rome, or Bath.